I brought a Kenyan art, but I feel like it's more like of a self-portrait and like the community behind you and like what represents you and your community.
So I had three projects going on. One of them was inspired by a couple of street artists in Afghanistan. They tried to portray the harshes the women are going through in Afghanistan, that their rights are being violated. They usually come at night, they paint on the streets, on the roads. I had two others just to show the art and the history of Afghanistan. They do some really cool self-portrait, and the other one was printing on wood kind of stuff. If you go to Afghanistan, you see a lot of those in mosques, in buildings here and there. It's kind of you don't realize it so much. Like, oh, you feel like it's normal, but it's really deeply rooted into the culture. It represents a lot about the culture, the religion, and the people.
I did 3 projects. One of them was putting nails on a wood board, and then that was inspired by a cultural tattooing. So back then in Iraq they used to do tattoo, but like through nails and hammers because they didn't have the inks or the equipment. That's how they did tattoos. And the other one was writing something that they like about their culture or country on a rock, and that idea was inspired by that because rocks are like so small, you can take them or put them wherever you want, and so it can always be there with you. And the other one was more like centered on mental health, and it was like writing something that you like about your body or personality, and then like on a sticky note, and then sticking it on a board, and then it would be like everyone's sticky notes on one board, and it shows, you know, what people like about themselves.
I feel like everybody could make art because everyone's creative in their own way.
I think it's language that everyone understands in a way. Like, you don't have to speak it, but you see something, you find a meaning into it.
I think it's a great way to tell a story, whether if it's like your story or someone else's story, or if it's about your country or I don't know, or your history. I think it's a great way to express your feelings as well. I think it's important because today in Utah there are like multiple cultures and people from different backgrounds and country, and I feel like communication would help them get to know the other cultures and like get to like know refugees better.
It's important to have a sense of connection with other people, to understand other community, not to judge them, and to unite people.
I'd say I'm part of 2 cultures. I feel like since I was raised in like the US more, I would say I take more part of like the US culture, but then again I'm also Kenyan, so I also like I learn more of my history behind my culture. But growing up and making new friends that are also from my culture, I want to learn more. But I would say I'm from both. You could like show your story and other things by like creating art that expresses you, and like show people like, oh, I'm like this and like that, I guess. I feel like just to express yourself more. Shows another way of emotions.
I think art is a positive way to like communicate with refugees too, and then I would say like storytelling is like a form of art, and then like listening to like refugees' stories is like a powerful way to learn about refugees, their stories, where they come from, because they're like learning first-hand experiences on like what refugees went through or why they're here.